the decline and fall of the United States of America, so that Israel can replace it. And that decline and fall, of course, is clearly visible to us in the fate which now awaits the US dollar and the US economy, consequently the US economy, but not so clearly apparent in the fate which now awaits the US military. Since 9/11, the United States has been led by its nose, by the Zionists, to enter into one war after another, to the extent that the Zionists have now taken the United States to a stage where it is militarily up to its throat in wars. And to start new wars, particularly with Iran, could eventually lead the United States to a situation where it will face military defeat. And I think this is what the Zionists want. So that you have the monetary collapse, the economic collapse, the unpopularity of the United States all over the world, and now the impending military defeat. And only Israel will be able to intervene to save the United States. That's what Israel wants. And when Israel intervenes to save the United States from military defeat, the writing is on the wall. The United States is no longer the ruling state in the world. The curtain is coming down on Pax Americana. And so the attack on Iran, I believe, is meant to provoke a series of wars which will eventually trap the United States and bring about its decline as a ruling state in the world.
You referred to Israel's control over governments around the world, which I think we will all accept. But this messianic drive, which you've referred to, it seems it's causing destruction in the wars, but there's also theories, people talking about HARP, earthquakes, forest fires. There's a general motivation for destruction. I guess this is to bring about the false Messiah, as you put it.
We will have to, if it is possible, conduct sufficient research to be able to provide evidence that some of these so-called natural disasters are not so natural at all. But sometimes a very convenient earthquake takes place, like the one which I anticipate would reach the masjid in Jerusalem. It's called Masjid al-Aqsa, where the Temple of Solomon used to be located. When that convenient earthquake brings down that building, Israel can then move to reconstruct their temple. And he cannot claim to be the Messiah, the false Messiah, the Antichrist, until he has rebuilt the temple. So, I think we need to be able to provide evidence, if it is possible to do so, to demonstrate that all of these so-called natural disasters are natural at all.
No, I'm so pleased you asked for that. You know, it's giving religion a bad name if we're going through so much destruction, and it's religious people in Zionism that are creating all this trouble and pain. And we've seen millions of people die over the last 10 years. And some people say, well, it's just religion. It's because of religion that these wars are happening. What would be your response?
As a Muslim, I have tremendous respect for Judaism. And as a Muslim, I will not tolerate anyone vilifying the Jewish faith, disrespecting the Jewish faith. I cannot allow that, because I have tremendous respect for Judaism. I have great respect for Christianity. The Zionists, however, don't seem to share that respect for Judaism. Not at all. The Zionists appear to be people who have simply put on the clothing of Judaism, whereas in effect they are an essentially godless people. They have no faith, they have no morals, they have no belief in judgment, that they will have to answer one day for 9/11. They tell monstrous lies, Morris, monstrous lies. And yet, they don't care about it. They would kill innocent children, women. They would urinate on the dead body of an opponent. They would take the Quran and flush it down a toilet. And it doesn't bother them. They can still go home and have dinner and watch TV. As though the heart of a human being has been replaced with the heart of a beast. And so it is not really Judaism, the religion, which is being tarnished by their conduct. And we in the world of Islam make a distinction between those Jews who are oppressors and those who are not. Those Jews who act in a manner contrary to Jewish religious beliefs, and those Jews who remain faithful to the morals and ethics of Judaism. And we remain forever prepared to enter into friendship and into alliance with Christians and with Jews who share with us this abhorrence of Israel's manifest oppressive behavior.
I think we are living in a Jewish century, and I would include consumerism and usury and the general lives we are all living. So it takes a stretch of the imagination to really imagine Judaism outside of usury and consumerism as the materialist world that we live in. But I guess there's a pure state where that exists. Perhaps
there are Jews in the world who despise Israel.
There are, but they're still perhaps happy to run the financial institutions of all the countries in the world.
I think there are Jews in the world who recognize the financial and monetary oppression that the banking system has now inflicted upon mankind. And I, for one, would not want to stereotype all Jews and to put this blame at this footstep of Judaism, the religion, but certainly Zionism. And as I realized recently from one of the prophecies of our prophet, who said that we are going to make an alliance with something called Rome. The word Rome is in the Quran. And Rome in the Quran refers to Christians, but not Western Christians. Refers to Eastern Christians who have not been, who have not become so much a part of modern Western civilization as Western Europe. It would be Russia, the Orthodox Christian Church of Russia and of Eastern Europe. And he said that we are going to make an alliance with them. I see Morris, I see the beginnings of that alliance already in Iran's relationship with Russia. I see the beginnings of that alliance in the fact that Pakistan is now moving away from its alliance with the United States, and Pakistan is reaching out to Russia. I see the possibility that when NATO begins their big wars soon, that public opinion in Turkey is going to turn against the government, which at the moment is supporting NATO's membership, and that the Turkish people are going to wage civil war to take Turkey out of NATO. And in that civil war, the alliance with Russia is most likely going to manifest itself. And I think this will interest you, Morris, because I notice that you have been paying a lot of attention to Syria. I don't think that the present Syrian government has moral credentials and religious credentials with which to be able to survive the sustained attack which has been launched at it by the Zionists. What the Syrian government has done over the last 40, 50 years has now resulted in what is called the chickens coming home to roost. Hafiz al-Assad, for example, Bashar's father, was barbaric in his oppression of the majority Sunni population of Syria. The French are the ones who supported this minority Alawite group to take over Syria and rule Syria. And they've done so. And while they do have some support because of their opposition to Israel and to Zionism, they do have some support in Syria. The fact is that chickens are coming home to roost now because a minority regime has sustained its oppression over a majority religious community, the Sunni. And so my own personal opinion is that on its own, the Syrian regime cannot survive. And that neither Russia nor China would be able to intervene to save the Syrian regime. However, there is the possibility, if it can be articulated in Syria to the Syrian majority Sunni community, that the Prophet spoke of an alliance with Rome. And so you should distance yourself from the Zionists. And in your effort to liberate yourself from oppression and to bring back freedom to your country, you should align yourself with Russia. And if Russia understands the role that Russia can play, Russia can succeed in easing a transition in Syria, a bloodless transition, which would bring the majority community to rule over the country and yet maintain an alliance with Iran and yet maintain an alliance with Russia, and so outmaneuver the Zionist plans over Syria. I don't see any other route open. If you do not take an initiative, it's only a matter of time before attrition results in the collapse of the Syrian regime.
No, I think my understanding is the ruling regime would probably agree with you wholeheartedly. They see themselves also as a bastion of Arab resistance, and resistance against Zionism and pan-Arabism, but they would, I think they will give way, as you have said, under the cloak of elections perhaps, but their main resistance is against Israel. I think they're prepared to see the light as you have described it.